السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. النهارده بكلمكم من بيروت، وسبب وجودي هنا ان انا سبيكر في مؤتمر إدارة المشاريع هنا في بيروت، ده للسنة الثانية على التوالي. النهارده الحقيقة انا هتكلم فيما بعد عن السيشن بتاعتي وايه هي التوبيك وهتكلم باستفاضة عنه ان شاء الله. لكن النهارده انا قابلت شخصيات مهمة جدا. واحد منهم اللي هو فرهاد، ده شغال مع الأمم المتحدة في النيجر، والحقيقة الراجل عنده برضه برزنتيشن النهارده جميلة عن الفاليو ريلايزيشن. بس الحقيقة واحنا بنفطر قعدت اتكلم معاه عن حاجة تانية، ألا وهي موضوع الكتاب اللي أنا شغال على تأليفه حاليا، اللي هو إدارة المشاريع للمنظمات غير الربحية والمنظمات الإغاثية. الحقيقة هو لأنه شغال في منظمة إغاثية، فكانت فرصة حلوة جدا نتكلم معاه، خاصة ان هو عنده كمان عامل برضو اشار لازاي يتعامل مع المشاريع اللي من النوع ده او الكوارث اللي هنا واللي هناك، واداني معلومات قيمة جدا جدا جدا. سجلتها في فيديو وهعرضه دلوقتي حالا الفيديو ده، وكمان عملت فيديو تاني لموضوع الفاليو ريلايزيشن. فهسيبكم مع الفيديو الاول اللي هو خاص بالديزاستر ريليف او الخاص بالمشاريع الاغاثيه، خاصه ان احنا الايام دي عندنا مشاكل اللي هي الامطار والسيول والحروب والكوارث كتيره، يعني الله يحفظنا منها. لكن طبعا احنا محتاجين نشوف ايه دور اداره المشاريع في الموضوع ده. شكرا. السلام عليكم.
Mr. Farhad, I know that you are working in the United Nations Office Service, Project Service?
Yes, it's
Yes.
United Nations for Project Services is the operational agency for rendering services not only internally for the United Nations agencies, but also for governments.
So I need to take this a chance to meet someone expert like you to talk about the disaster recovery project and how can we deal with the crisis. Because nowadays sometimes we have a heavy rain in one country in Middle East and we have a disaster, and also we have a lot of areas they have already some disaster. So I need from your experience to share with us your point of view, your opinion, your ideas. Okay.
But normally you have what we call a life cycle for a disaster. Previous to the event of the disaster, you work on the readiness. So you do your diagnostics on risks, on vulnerabilities, and you try to mitigate the risks. And you put in place also means of alerting people of an upcoming disaster. If the disaster is, you can forecast it, because there are some disasters which are not able to be forecasted, such as volcanoes or earthquakes. They can happen without any notice. But there are other kinds of disasters that you can have some means to know that it is coming. There is a trigger for it. For example, rain. When it starts to rain, the rivers they inundate, and the inundation takes a flood. So you have few hours to answer that one. So for these kind of things, you have what we call readiness. So you're ready for a disaster, and you know how to react and how to. An example would be New Zealand or Australia, where they send SMS messages to people that there is an inundation and people are evacuated. Same happens in United States where you have fires in California, for example. So the police evacuates people from exposed regions. Then you have the disaster itself. I mean, the thing happens, then you have to go to people who are encircled or in a situation that you have to save them. So it's a more a military kind of intervention that you have to do. Send helicopters and task force to help people in distress. Well, helping people in distress will cause you a problem. What do you do with these people who lost their houses and they have no place to go? So you have to put emergency camps to put them until you reconstruct what they have lost. for this, you have other methodologies like the Sphere project, where you know what is the minimum humanitarian quality that you have to put in place in such a camps. Parallel to that, normally the government and the private sector, they start to rebuild. And one of the things that they have to do is to restart or recover the most important services, such as electricity, water, communication, logistics such as roads and building back the bridges. And then you have the recovery of the economy, and at the end, when you finish this cycle, you think about, okay, what to do next time if something similar happens. Yeah. So when you do the post-disaster reconstruction, you have to include the requirement that we call resilience. You have to make the assets and the people more resilient next time.
Yeah.
So we call it build back better.
Yes.
So this is one of the things that you have to do. But you don't have to wait for a disaster to happen to do the assessment, what we call a multi-hazard assessment, risk assessment, so that you know if your region or your community is or not vulnerable to different kinds of hazards. In different kinds of countries, in different places in the world, you have different hazards. For example, in Africa, you have desertification in the Sahel. So you know that this is the disaster that they have to cope with. But in other places, you have inundations. In the other, you have earthquakes. So in each of these, you have to know exactly what is the context is and what kind of resilience that you have to put in place.
Yeah.
So these are you know, complementary methods and methodologies that you have to put in place so that you can reduce the possibility of disasters. There is not such a thing as a natural disaster. Disasters are man-made because of the decisions that we make. We put people in an exposed situation, or we don't deal with their vulnerabilities, and that creates the disaster in the first place.
I like this a lot. Actually, when you say there is no natural disaster, it's a man or human decision disaster, because disaster is there, but how the people deal with it, it's our decision.
Can you put this part?
Yes.
You see when it rains, if you don't build well, you will have landslides, and landslides will kill people who are on the bottom. Normally, the rich people are on the top. And when the landslides happens, those who are in the bottom die.
So the rich people will not die, but the poor people may die.
And people on the top, they put their garbage, they put people in the bottom at risk.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of thing that you have to understand.
Yeah, I like your concept, and as I share with you today in our breakfast, that I'm very interested in the topic, and I start writing a book about project management in disaster relief and the project management for non-profit organization. And actually you give me a lot of insight on this book, and for sure I have to consider it, especially the case studies. You share with me some case studies which is in two countries, the same hazard happened. One of them, about 250 million died.
250,000 died, yeah. And the other one, only a few people died.
250,000 died. And
the other one is 70 people died.
Seven people died. But what is the difference?
The difference, we call it resilience.
Resilience. So what those people did and this not?
Yeah, because for example, the example that I gave was Haiti against Chile. Both of them are Spanish-speaking. The Haiti is French-speaking, but Chile is a Spanish-speaking. They're Latino people, but their perception and their approach to risk is different. So the Chileans, they rehearse, they know what to do when an earthquake happens, and they are prepared for that. And the Haitian people were not prepared.
Yeah.
So you had 250,000 people died.
Yeah.
In that. So it's very interesting, this kind of topic.
So you think that project management have a role here?
Totally. Project management has basically three aspects of project management that can help: risk management, quality management, and of course nowadays we talk about agile ways of doing the projects. So when you're in a distress situation, you don't have time to do extensive assessments and plans.
Gathering
And
requirements,
you have to go there and solve the problem.
Exactly.
So you have to be more agile when you deal with disasters.
Yeah, actually this is my concept even in my book, my new book. I hope that it will come to the light soon. And it's very good chance to meet you here. Thank you very much.
Read my chapter on a Goer Handbook of Program Management. The chapter 12, it says programs in humanitarian development and post-disaster reconstruction, and there are 3 cases that I put in that chapter. That would help you.
Thank you very much. This is like a permission to share your
yes, of course.
use your material.
Of course.
Thank you very much, and have a very good day. Today is a very nice day in Beirut, and me and Farhad prepare now for our sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.